We should have a kind of faith that answers the question, what would we do if we knew we would not fail? Today, your imagination and your faith will be stretched to fit your life. You're going to be inspired that anything you're experiencing, anything you're facing, you're ready for it. You just have to let God build you different. With our guest, Ben and Julia Murray. They are great, inspiring parents, and they also advocate for inclusion of special needs kids and adults. But their faith and their journey is best described by Ephesians 3:20 and 21. Now to him who's able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. To him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. And so let's go on to the podcast. I think you're going to enjoy the whole thing. So even after you listen to it in segments, whatever it may be, give it a listen, let it inspire you, and I hope what it'll do for you is help you to know you're built different and the vision God has for you that he's placed in your imagination can and will come true. Today, we're fortunate enough to have a great couple with us, and we're going to be talking about built different. Why are we talking about built different? Because every single one of us lives a life that's unique and original. And built different is really about being able to live your own original life. Wherever you are, whatever age you are, whatever experiences you have, some of them will be easy, some of them will be difficult, but all of them can be managed and even conquered. 1 John chapter 5 says that those who believe in Jesus can live life through faith in a way that allows them to conquer. And so we're living at a time, particularly when some of the most heroic people out there are special needs parents. I'm not saying that just because I'm a special needs parent. I'm saying that because I know special needs parents. But this podcast is not going to be about special needs parenting, although you will hear about special needs parenting today. This podcast is going to be about being built different, allowing God to develop your life, your faith, your marriage, your parenting as you go, growing each day, so that you can conquer. Now, why are special needs parents so important? Well, I want everyone who's in our audience at D Spirituality that reads the chemistry lab to be able to be aware of the crises we face. America is facing an epidemic of loneliness, but nowhere is this crisis more devastating than in the special needs community. Those who parent, those who volunteer, those who teach, those who work in the therapies that are all associated with making the quality of life for special needs children and adults better, understand this crisis. For instance, while employment rates for people with disabilities have reached historic highs at 38%, they remain half that of people without disabilities at 75%. The 4.1 million people with disabilities who rely on supplemental security income cannot afford an apartment anywhere in the United States without additional support, and 84% of disabled people with low incomes are eligible for housing assistance but do not receive it. Oftentimes we think that special needs is about the Special Olympics, or for those who are familiar with e-life and e-sports, it's about that, and it is. But the day-to-day life of people who parent and work with those who are adults and children with special needs is in a reality that is very challenging, but the reason so many of them are successful is they are built different. I don't think they're built differently than you. They've chosen, those especially with faith in God, have chosen to allow God to make them different. The transition to adulthood for those with special needs is particularly brutal. After age 18, when school-based supports end, young people with special needs often face a cliff of isolation. 40% of adults with a debilitating disability or chronic condition report feelings of loneliness or being socially isolated, nearly double the national average. People with disability experience loneliness, low perceived social support, and social isolation at significantly higher rates than people without disability. When you meet a parent or you meet a worker, a volunteer involved with this community that helps people live exceptional lives, you can learn a lot from them. And that's what we want to do today. We're not talking about special needs and special needs families because we want to educate you only on that. We're talking about it because these people are unique. They're unique in their ability, especially people of faith, to allow God to transform their lives and make them capable of doing a job that really everybody has to do. Live your life, regardless of what comes into your life. And so today we have with us a great couple, Ben and Julia Murray, who I've already introduced you to earlier. And I want to bring them on in to talk about being built different. Welcome, Ben and Julia. It's great to have you guys on the podcast.
Hi, Russ.
Hi, Russ. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that happens a lot is, when you have special needs parents or families, obviously people talk about special needs, but I think I'd write on this that you were people before you had special needs kids. So that means I'm assuming you existed prior to that. And so can you tell us a little bit about like where you guys, come from and how you met, and we can take it bit by bit. I don't know. I do know that Ben, I believe, went to Northwestern. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yes, and that's a Big Ten school.
The Big Ten
and
school.
That's a Big Ten school, and that's one of the great schools. I remember I got a letter, when you're getting letters from colleges and stuff from Northwestern, but I didn't want to apply there because the University of Michigan, to me, was the only Big Ten school I would consider. But your Northwestern, I will admit right here in public, is the absolute best school in the Big Ten academically, without question. And I would argue, even though the rankings revolve around, is definitely competitive with the Ivy Leagues and Stanford and all those guys. So you're one brilliant dude. I'm saying that all because you're a Big Ten guy.
Thank you, Russ. And,
yes, just want to get that.
I also went to Michigan, which I know you also have the great affinity for that. So
wait, I didn't know that part.
Undergrad, Northwestern, grad school, Michigan. Yes.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Now everything's looking up.
Two big checks were written for a long time.
You have financially supported both states.
Yes. It was not a full ride on either trip. No.
Yeah. The full ride thing is greatly overrated by people. But so did you grow up in Illinois?
Born and raised in Chicago. I attended Chicago public schools. I was very fortunate to be raised in a home with a mother and a father, both professionals, for my entire life.
Awesome.
My father's a chemical engineer. My mother was a registered nurse. My two brothers, we were, I thought we had a normal childhood growing up in Chicago. We went to church, members of the Boy Scouts of America. And
really,
that's all we knew. They tried.
Man, you're like, you're like the Huxtables before the Huxtables, and fortunately, you've continued to be the Huxtables. I'm just going to say you diverged from them when that path went a little astray there.
I'm giving you the sanitized version there, Russ.
No, you know what? You're giving me the perfect version. Nobody has a perfect life. I've never heard of that, but that's exciting. So now, Julia, are you from the Midwest? Where are you from?
So, born and raised right here in the Bay Area.
Boy.
My parents, however, are immigrants from Central America. They both are from Panama, and they came over here. My older brother was born there, and the rest of us born here in California. So they came over. My dad was in the Army, if I recall. My mom was a homemaker. So there were five of us, 5 kids.
Whoa!
I was the only girl, and in the middle. Yeah, 2 older, 2 younger. Exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, like my life is funny because I feel like my life parallels to Ben's as we were growing up. Now that we're married and we talk about our families and things, but very similar. Parents married for a very long time. Parents really focused on education, get a good job, get a family, and you're set. That was really my dad's motto. So I went to, being the only girl, I went to an all-girls Catholic school, my choice. I went to Holy Names in Oakland. And
Okay.
then I went to DVC for 2 years.
Diablo Valley College for those who aren't from the area.
There you go.
That's very cool.
And then I transferred to UC Santa Barbara. And that's I thought I wanted to get into psychology, but that wasn't working out because my grades were like tanking this way.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I liberal arts, graduated, and came out.
That's awesome. That's really good. Santa Barbara, you were living the dream.
Yeah, right? Beach.
Ben was in snow and I was in snow.
Oh boy, sunny and beach. Yeah, Southern California.
Yeah, we were drenched in snow, and you were living the dream. I've never been to Santa Barbara, but I've always wanted to go because I've heard so many good things about it.
It's beautiful.
There's a scripture that's in Proverbs 20:24 that says, "It is the Lord who directs your life. For each step you take is ordained by God to bring you closer to your destiny. So much of your life then remains a mystery." And when I talked about being built different, I'm just getting from the beginning. And I understand I'm the same way. Everybody has things in their life that if someone, put a microscope on it, they go, well, that wasn't that great. But the point is, I'm working on something for the chemistry lab called The Myth of the Perfect Family and writing about it. There is no perfect family. There's just family. And I know for me, growing up in my family, now my parents got divorced when I was a senior, but I never experienced life feeling like I didn't have two parents at home, because by the time I went to college, I wasn't coming back. And my parents were pretty much like you guys, which was going to college wasn't even something that you didn't decide about that. That's what was going to happen. And getting a job was what was going to happen. And there was really no discussion in our household. And it's why, in my life, when I was growing up, I'm a little older for the audience knows that, I would watch shows like Good Times was on television. It was in the Jeffersons. And there were a few black families that began to come up in the 70s. And I know for some of you who are younger, you're going, the 70s, did they have light bulbs yet? No, we didn't have any light bulbs. We put oil in lamps and stuff like that. But
You had black and white TV.
We had black and white TV. Yeah. It actually was crisp, to be honest. But anyway, when all that was going on, I felt like what my parents did is they made our life so different than the way television depicted African Americans. So sometimes I would watch television and I would go, I don't understand that. And then the Jeffersons came on and I was like, okay, I understand that better, in the sense that, and I think it's because in television, and I know I'm dating myself, in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s, did not depict every African, they depicted African American families like they were monolithic. All of them were urban and in the city and struggling, which there were then and there still are. But there were also a lot like your families. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because it seems to me that God was shaping you guys, even as children, for the moments that you're in. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you became a family. I'll let you just pick and choose whatever you want to share, because God brought you guys together. But I know your story is pretty cool from what I've heard.
Okay, so that scripture that you gave, I actually had typed out too, because it made sense to me as well. The one you just read in Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting you asked that question, because I feel like God met us and we were unaware. So here's the story.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll go for it. I might have to look at my notes, but most people know this, that I've shared this with. But in 1995, both Ben and I were married to different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We found out that our boys, Alex and Tommy, were born the same year, 1995.
Whoa.
Same month, January, a day apart. 1 to 12.
You're kidding.
15, same hospital.
We were all in the same hospital at the same time.
Married to different people.
I don't know any of this.
No,
this is incredible.
Right? We both had C-sections, obviously, us women. And
Ben had a C-section?
We both had C-sections. And
Ben himself, he actually had a C-section.
Well, I did. I still have a scar.
I just thought I'd throw that in because I want to get on Ben as much as I can during our time together.
Equal opportunity.
That's it. But you both had, so both of you moms had C-sections.
Both of us mom had C-sections, and both of our boys have special needs. So that scripture that you read, I was like, yeah, that's exactly like God was directing our paths and we had no idea. We didn't find this out until we were like dating and we're like, oh, the boys were 10. And we're like, oh.
Oh.
And that's when it was like, what?
Come out, right?
Yeah.
Right. And
You're kidding me.
So that was the unmet, right? That was the meeting God had us. And we were totally unaware.
Correct. And to where we talk about meeting, I first met Julia.
The real meeting.
The real meeting. First meeting was at a parent support group for special needs parents put on by the church in San Ramon. And it was during the break between the sessions, I walked over and tried to say hello to this young lady who was, nice. And she was very standoffish and aloof. And she doesn't even remember that meeting. I just want to let everybody know sometimes in a dating relationship, it's not love at first sight. She didn't remember me at all. And now we're coming up on 20 years of marriage. Yeah. So
20 years.
Even from that first meeting to the time we got married was a number of years. Again, it was 3, 4, 5 years. So it took a while for this relationship to develop.
Yeah.
It was not snap. It's on. This is it. You're the one. No.
Well, first of all, for those who are listening, because we have a lot of subscribers that don't know that you're part of the Bay Area Christian Church, and so for those who are listening, when they refer to the church, they're referring to the Bay Area Christian Church, where they went to a support group, which the Bay Area Christian Church has a lot of support for those with special needs parents. You can look at the site www.bacc.cc for those who are all around the world and all around the country and go to different churches and different places and everything. So they just want you to know that. But you know what's cool about that? And I can see some commonalities. One, I think it's inspiring, and a lot of people of faith don't know how to negotiate the changes in our lives that are out of our control. And so what I mean by that is you were both married to different people at the time, and you're now married to each other. And so to answer that question that's in people's minds as they're trying to figure that out is that not everything in your life is in your control. And for a lot of the times, what has messed me up and driven my blood pressure up and my anxiety up is the delusion in my head that I think I can control all outcomes.
Right.
Instead of leaning into the flow, Galatians 5, the Holy Spirit, leaning into it and saying, let God take me where I need to go. Not everything is going to unfold the way I wrote it in my little journal when I was 8 years old.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why you're built different. You're built different because as you've met different things in your life and had to negotiate the terrain, you've been able to say yes to God instead of yes to control. And that's what I hear you saying. When you went up to Julia and she recognized you were from the Midwest, she was like, no. Don't want to have nothing to do with that. None of that. They haven't won a Rose Bowl and I don't know how long. So I don't want to have anything to do with that. But, Gail and I were the same way. The exact same way.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Gail. She didn't like me. Now, she didn't like me because I was a really arrogant person, which is not hard for anyone to believe, but I was a really arrogant person. And so she, but I just was busy doing whatever I was doing. I didn't even pay attention. And then we were friends for 4 years before I actually woke up and was like, hey, wait a second.
Wow.
I'm doing all this dating around and this person is right there.
Wow.
And so I love that. And I know you're encouraging people out there because I think there are a lot of people that are frustrated in and outside the church with dating. You see about the frustration people have with dating apps and how do you meet people and all that. And then within the church, people can be frustrated because they feel like they can't find the person. I remember I was at church as a college student and the guy was speaking to, I don't know, maybe 80 to 100, maybe 120 college students. And he said, the person you're going to marry is in this room. And I was like, that's impossible. There's no way the person is in this room because I know the people in this room and none of them is who I'm going to marry. Gail was in that room.
Ah.
And so I just think sometimes we think we have more control than we have.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Quick Quiet Times. Life gets busy. But even in the rush, God still wants to meet with you. That's why we created Quick Quiet Times, simple 10-minute guides that help you slow down, reflect, and find strength in His Word. Whether it's morning coffee, a midday pause, or winding down at night, these short moments can bring lasting peace. Quick Quiet Times, because even a few minutes with God can change everything. Visit deepspirituality.com/quickquiettimes to check it out. Links in the description below. Now, back to the conversation.
We're going to jump forward to you get married and then what? You get married and then what? Like, how old were your kids when you got married?
Well, we got married and we woke up the day after we got married. We had 4 children, and it was a shock. Well, we knew what we were getting into, but the reality of the situation, really quickly set in. Our honeymoon, lasted all of 4 days because we had the children dive off with their respective parents and loved ones. And then we had, a couple days of honeymoon, and Thursday morning we started collecting the kids again, and the real life began.
Real life,
wow.
Real life began. So, and we didn't really have a honeymoon until several years later.
Yeah.
So it took time to develop.
So we had Nathaniel at that time was 16, maybe 15 or 16.
All right.
Yeah. Malia was 15. Yeah, because they're a year apart. And then we had Tommy and Alex, both in order, Alex and then Tommy, both 10 years old at that time. It was a circus.
Right.
That's unbelievable.
You are blending the way that I brought my kids up, the way he brought his kids up. And it was just like, okay, we got to figure all this stuff out.
You have two.
How did you figure? How did you even?
No, we have 2 neurotypical children. We have 2 special needs children. We have her children, our children, a girl thrown in for spice, and all living together in a little apartment where we were literally standing up to each other to walk past each other in the hallway.
Yeah. 3 boys in a room, Malia, makeshift bedroom in a den.
We're sleeping on the floor on a futon, and
making it work.
Now, here a couple things. One, where did faith come in to either grab you or get you through these moments? I just want to get a sense, because I have other questions about the beginning of the building of your family, which I think is really important for those listening. One of the things we're trying to do with the podcast is allow you to know people's stories better. And not just make everything about, let us teach you through scripture or whatever, which obviously we believe in the Bible, we use the Bible, but letting you hear stories of people that you may be able to relate to, certainly can learn from. But I'm trying to figure out where does faith come into the process of helping this whole blending happen?
It's continuous. I don't know where it began, and I hope I never see the end of it. It binds us together. We could not be doing this without God in our lives. It's just enormous. Mm-hmm. It's overwhelming. We need to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, living on a lot of God's grace, living on a lot of faith in the Bible that we're on the right path. God will take us through this. We need to, as you were mentioning there, we need to go with the flow, but realize that if we stay in God's flow, He's going to take care of us through the rocks, through the rapids, through the high points, through the low points, through the valley of the shadow. He will take us. He will take us through it. So it's continuous. It's daily. It's daily quiet times. It's teaching our children to observe the Bible, pray. So, yeah.
So for me, Russ, 2 things come to mind: teamwork and friends. Okay. So the teamwork.
I like it.
So as Ben and I have come together, and you could date, but once you get married, you really know each other. And Ben's strength.
Talk about that.
Ben's strength is patience, and of course he's going to flinch, but he has more patience than I do. So that's his strength. My strength, organizing and getting people together. Right.
Okay.
So I think I've seen over the years that that's how we work. Like when I grew up, my parents, they always had parties at the house, like open the doors. So that's what I do. I'm like, Ben, can we have so-and-so over?
And I didn't grow up like that.
And he didn't grow up that way.
All new to me.
Oh,
Right. So he
okay,
has to learn
okay.
how to adjust that, right? Right. So all this to me is faith,
Yes.
right? We got to trust that God's putting it together. And then the second thing that really comes to mind are our friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Our prayer partners. And you can explain what that is. But I could not do this life without my spiritual friends.
That's great.
No way.
Total failure.
No way.
Total failure.
So those two things come to mind.
So something and for those who are listening, many of you out there have some form of relationship in your church where 2 or 3 or a group of you get together to help each other spiritually and stay strong. In the Bay Area Christian Church, they have prayer partners, which really are friends that involve themselves in what I like to call now it's spiritual mentorship, which is discipling or discipleship, which unfortunately a lot of people have given up on. And don't understand how tremendous it is for whatever reasons. But you mentioned the difference. It's an interesting thing for special needs families, I think, in particular. And now I'm understanding even better why you had success. If you don't, as the parents, make sure you build relationships, then your children can be isolated. And so the ability that you have manifested to from how you grew up to now, opening the home and involving people. Talk more about how that has helped your children have friendships and relationships. Because I want to say this for 2 reasons. One, for special needs parents, like you said about Ben, sometimes that's not how you grew up. That's not what went on.
Right.
But it's essential to develop that, because without you, it's possible your kids won't have great friendships. So maybe you can both talk just a little, or not a lot about it, but talk about that, because it's so compelling to me.
It's not perfect. It's messy. Alex with autism prefers to be by himself.
Yeah.
So we can have a crowd full of people here, and Alex, come on out, join the crowd. And he will for a while, and then he'll retreat to his room. And that's okay. Also, what we try to do a lot of is obviously not just grown-up time, but also, have games and things to draw him out.
Yes.
So it's like, Alex, we're going to play Uno, and Tommy. And
You recently started dominoes.
And we started dominoes. Ben started
dominoes
recently. But it's like... You have to train them and teach them to come out. We're going to, Ben is really good at, okay, we're going to watch this movie, Alex, because Alex, prefers to be in his room. So, we'll come out and we have to coax him and no, movie's not over. We're going to watch this. And, so it's a training. It's not easy. And sometimes I'm tired. I'm like, that's fine, because I'm ready to go to my room too, But I don't think we realize what we're doing is actually helping them in their life. So I appreciate you saying that. It's just something that we do. I don't know what the benefits are or will be.
Well, I can tell you one thing. One of the things that is important to me, and if you go and look at the BACC.cc website, or you just do a search for eLife or eSports, particularly, and these will be in the show notes for those who are listening, you can learn a little bit more about it, is this, and as you've alluded to, Julia, a significant number of children with autism, and it's a wide spectrum. So you can have more severe limits, you can have fewer limits, but there's always, it seems, from all the studies that have been done and observations have been done, some form of social limit that everybody has. And there's a lot of reasons for that. For those who are listening, sometimes it's really the sensory issue, that when you have crowds that are making noise, and you also have people who are unfamiliar with how to approach someone with autism, it can create a feeling of anxiety, the unfamiliarity, and that's why training and helping. This is one of the reasons why I'm into eLife, which we'll be writing about and talking about more. If you haven't subscribed to Chemistry Lab, you can do that. We'll be writing more about that. But it's one of the reasons I want to put about it, because we need more people who understand how to interact with kids with all along the spectrum, including those who have ADHD, including those who have learning disabilities, including those who have mental health challenges. And what you're describing, and it's important, I think, for all parents to understand this. And I work with parents that are parents of typical kids and neurotypical kids, and people who are neurodiverse kids. But one of the things that I think typical parents can learn from special needs parents like you guys is that you can't just rely on your church youth ministry or teen ministry to build relationships for your kid. You have to open your home to do it. When I was growing up, I was part of several homes, the Shipman home, the Baker home, and they invited me into my home. Now, my family and home was great. I'm just saying they invited me into their home. And to this day, I'm part of their extended family. And I think what happens with what you're doing, whether you realize it or not, is you're ensuring that if there comes a time and when there comes a time when none of us are here as parents, there will be people out there who have known your kids since they were 10, 11, and 12 years old. And believe me, this is what we experience with our kids. I mean, our producer, Nathan, sitting here, I've been knowing and working with Nathan since he was 16 years old. He still, after having his first kid, comes over to have dinner with Jonathan, my son, who he's been friends with since they were in the elementary school age. And that's what you're building.
Right.
Why is this important for typical parents? Sometimes as typical parents, we think, well, our kid can go out and make friendships on his own. I actually think that's a small percentage of people who actually know socially how to walk into a high school or middle school of 2,500 kids and just go, yeah, I'm gonna socially tackle this thing. And people just need to get your yearbook out and take a look and see how many pictures of you are in there besides the one for the class. And you'll see there's only a few kids who are in all the pep rally pictures and band pictures and sports pictures, because it's a hard life trying to be social. And so when you have a family, parents like you that welcome people into your home, you're cementing in the memories and hearts of other people, your kids. And that's what I think care communities are all about. Ben, how did you adapt to going from maybe not that being part of a part of like the social scene of like, let's just get a bunch of people flowing through the house. How did you adapt to, oh yeah, now we're going to do that, right? And you're an engineer too, right?
I am, sir. Can I make a point here? Maybe I need to cut this in editing.
No, just get it in there. Go.
One of the things I've learned as a parent of a special needs adults now from my neurotypical families that help us is that sometimes things that I'm attributing to special needs are just normal behaviors. They say, this is the way, for example, long showers, wearing short pants, having some nervousness around crowds. I think, these are aspects of being autistic. But no, my other friends come in and say, I like short pants. I'll wear short pants, down to 30 degrees. Their child takes 25, 30-minute hot showers, and they're, going to Stanford and other kind of. So we realize that the behaviors that we might think are strange are really just normal. So just chill out. Let them be there. That part of their personality is okay. And I've had to wake up and learn that.
I love that you're saying that. Here's why. Because it's one of the reasons I didn't feel like this is a podcast about special needs parenting. This is a podcast about Ben and Julia Murray, who in my opinion have demonstrated already in the time we've been talking, they're just built different. And I got to be honest, you were built different before you developed whatever faith you currently have today. Mm-hmm. You were built different by your parents. I mean, I'm thinking about your parents now and how proud they must be or must have been, depending upon, where they're at in their life stage, of who you've become and what you've done with your children. And I think it's important people out there understand what you're saying to us today is this has taken a lot of faith. This has taken believing in what we don't see. That's, go back in Hebrews 11 is that faith is a conviction of things not seen. Go back and look at the New American Standard version of that translation or the ESV version of that translation. It's a conviction of things not seen. So when you're in that little apartment and you got all them kids and you don't even get a honeymoon, hey, for all those, young dating couples or early married couples that had a week or 2 weeks of a honeymoon, you know what? You need to make sure that you didn't get 2 weeks of honeymoon and only 3 years of marriage. You got, you got 3-4 days of sort of honeymoon, but 20 years of marriage, and marriage is the game. Like people end up honeymoon's practice.
Yeah.
Right.
Marriage is the game, and you want to win the game. And like a lot of people are trying to win practice. Ben, you got something you want to say on that?
And sometimes it's those friends that come from our church community and outside the community who have visions for our children that we are afraid to have.
Yeah.
The vision that both of our children could become baptized disciples. That came from some of our friends. I'll shout out. I'll shout out. They may make the cut or not, but Mike and Becky Greathouse, I know you know, they have been instrumental, capital I, in our relationship, our walk with God for more than the 20 years that we have been married. I mean, Mike Greathouse intimidated me into my first date with Julia. So that's a story. That's the story from another time.
Yeah.
But it's our friends from outside our family who have given us visions and see things in our children.
Yeah.
And our children learn how to cooperate and be in groups with other people other than their parents. And that's a life lesson.
You want to say something on that, Julie? You got something on your mind on that?
I totally echo what Ben said. It's funny because the faith thing, I always say, I'm a visual person, so I always say that we held on to Mike and Becky Greathouse's faith coattails to take us through Tommy and Alex being able to study the Bible and become disciples. That was a vision that I was like, not too sure about that.
I don't see that.
But we held on and we were like, okay. And until we got our own faith and like, wow, this is possible.
And they carried us for years in that belief. Yeah. That was just not a one and done, drop an idea and walk away. They cultivated, they poured water on it. They groomed, they made sure the sun was right. They put in the work.
So you're saying you've known the Greathouses since before you were married?
Yeah, I knew. As a single mom back in 2000, I think is when I became a disciple. Becky was somewhere in there. So I want to highlight. There's so many awesome things you guys are saying. I'm overwhelmed trying to make sure everybody hears them all, and because sometimes you want to make sure you point it out. But there's something that's weaving through your lives right here. And that is one, faith in God. And that's very powerful. It sounds like in your early years, whether you went to church or not, you had developed some faith. And what's funny is sometimes faith in God begins with your parents' faith in you, your parents' belief in you. You know, I'm a big, hey, if you want to believe in Santa or the Easter Bunny, I'm for believing in anything, because I think faith is part of imagination and developing that. And that goes back to Ephesians 3:20 and 21, which says that God will give us whatever we ask or imagine and even more. And so to me, I see faith in your lives going through all the way through from your earliest years. And you can thank your families and all that and your community for that. But the other thing is relationship. I see it weaving through your lives very powerfully. And the way you just talked about your friends, the Greathouses, and for those who maybe use different language when you talk about whether it's prayer partners or it's a deep friendship or mentorship in the church or small groups, whatever language you're using, what Ben and Julie are talking about is having relationships that last 20 plus years. That's what makes a difference. And I know different ones of us have had experiences in the past where we've had revolving relationships in our lives. Yes.
And so you part of that is if you rely on your church structure to tell you who your friends are, well, then you're not going to have consistent relationships. I have my friends, you know, and I like to pick them, you know, and go, hey, I like you we don't get to spend a lot of time together, but I wanted you on the podcast, and this is living up to everything I thought it would be, because I think you're an awesome family, and there's something about the two of you. There's a Holy Spirit joy that fuels your resilience, whether you know it or not. There's just, it's obvious to me. It's just the ability to have a sense of humor about life, the ability. See, I'm not like that. I take myself way too seriously. You know what I'm saying? I've been taking myself seriously since I was a little kid. And when I watch you, I go, that's such a better way to live life. But I think I'm working on something for our chemistry lab newsletter on the Holy Spirit gives us superpowers. And I think when I look at Ben, I hear you talking, Julie, and I hear he's been given a Holy Spirit superpower of patience. And a lot of times engineers have that. They have that relentless determination to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that allows them to be thoughtful and reflective, even though people may outside Silicon Valley may see engineers differently. I don't. I see them as thoughtful, reflective, introspective, which allows them to go, problems are not solved overnight. They know that from what they try to do in work. But then when I see the blend, you have this joyful, I don't know if it's from your Latin American roots or not, but you have this joyful superpower, Julia, that I think that's why Gail has that. She's the likable one in our family. She's the one that makes everybody relax. I stress everybody out. I'm always planning and setting goals, and so she does that. And what happens when you have a mom or a dad in a family like that is it attracts people because people want to be in a home and they want to be around the home. But I just want to highlight for everybody, you may sit there and go, I could never be a parent of special needs kids, or I could never have been married and then be married again. I could never, some kids out there going, I got those kind of student loans Ben was talking about. I could never. You can, if you go to Galatians 5 and you choose verse 23 instead of verse 19. Verse 23 is the fruits of the Spirit. Verse 19 is the sins. The sins limit you. They get you tangled up. But you guys have manifested that very powerfully.
This episode is brought to you by The Chemistry Lab. Spiritual growth begins with a heart that loves to discover. Welcome to The Chemistry Lab, a weekly newsletter designed to quiet the noise, deepen your connection with God, and bring fresh discoveries that inspire your faith, your relationships, and your impact on the world. Each week, Rush Yule shares a thoughtful insight about God and spirituality, written to clarify, encourage, and transform. This week's issue, Dangerous Times, how to be a catalyst for healing in a world that feels fractured. Subscribe today at deepspirituality.com/thechemistrylab and begin your journey of discovery. Links in the description below.
I'm going to get you out of here in a little bit, but I want to ask a couple more.
Fun, Wes.
Well, okay, good. Then I'm doing my job.
I'm not nervous anymore. Okay.
Then I'm doing my job. I want to share with you. I picked out a scripture that kind of it reminded me of you. It reminded me of us. It reminded me of special needs families. And I just want to highlight something for the listeners. And then I just want to get your response on the other end. It's in Psalm 37, one of my favorite chapters of the Bible. But I'm going to read out of the easy reading version.
Oh, yeah.
It says in verse 1, don't get upset about evil people. Don't be jealous of those who do wrong. One of the challenges that I think every special needs family and parent has to overcome is the temptation to wish you had that typical life as opposed to the life you have. Not because the life you have is bad, because it isn't, but because the other life is easy. And I don't know about you, but when I'm up at night and it's been a long day of all the different things of managing health, worrying about every sneeze, even as your kids become adults, worrying about COVID when it came out and what will happen. All these people were dying. And you're like, if my kid gets it with Down syndrome, we're possibly up a creek because he's very respiratory vulnerable. Mm-hmm. All that is our life. And so when you look and you see somebody who goes, well, I don't have to worry about that. I don't do anything with that. I don't think those people are evil. The Psalm 37, something like that. I think they're just living the life. But I pray almost every day not to envy the comfortable. Yeah. And so I think something that you maybe could speak to for a second for parents out there, not just special needs parents, but all parents, because I know parents who they've got a typical kid who's doing great, but they're bugged that they don't play basketball. Or they're bugged that they don't play football, or they're bugged that their GPA isn't whatever they want the GPA to be, which today it doesn't matter because you can get a 4.5 GPA and still not be able to get into the top 20 schools. So right. I think that stuff's on. But what can you just speak to how to have a mentality to not get thrown off when you see someone else's life maybe being easier, simpler, and to stay focused on the fact that God has given you the family he wants you to have, because his purposes are greater than just having a life that doesn't require a lot of effort or extra effort.
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to let you handle that one.
No, I don't know. I have to think about that.
I like the fact that you see, this is good. Everybody who's listening, we're going to leave this in.
Really?
You have to, you relate to it.
Oh, Absolutely.
And isn't it? It's such a heavy question because there's so much there. Not the jealousy part. That's not the part that's there. It's the fact that you're loving your life, you're living your life, and at the same time, you've got somebody who's living an easier life. When I was in fifth grade, we had a what did they call those things? All the elementary schools got together for a field day. That was it, the field day. And so you had, sack races and whatever them things are called, but you also had real track and field. So you had the 100-yard dash, a 60-yard dash, and all these different things, and high jumps and everything. And so I had the worst, finished second, and the only kid. And I went to school in an area where there were like enough black kids in the school system you could count them. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was white, which was not a problem. But only kid who had ever beaten me in a race was another black kid. And so I got in this race, and we took off and everybody got left behind by a kid who became one of my best friends, Tim Wobbin. Got left behind. Red-headed white kid who went on to be all city, all area football player. Baseball. Tim never touched a thing, including books, that he wasn't great at.
Wow.
Like everything he did, he was great at.
Yeah.
And I learned from that sometimes you just got to enjoy somebody else being good at something. Wow. And I think part of being a special needs parent is understanding my life is great, and I will enjoy my friend's life, even if it's a little easier or different. And that I think that's why that question lingers heavy. And we can let that question just hang out there for the listeners. Who are you looking at? And you're saying, why don't I have that life? Instead of let me enjoy their life and enjoy mine too. Mm-hmm. Does that resonate with you even as sort of an explanation or a visual of what we're talking about? That's all I need to know. If it resonates, and you can say that's really something that is true for everybody.
Absolutely. And I'm happy with my life. And I also find myself that I can be honestly happy when other people find success.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them. I cheer for them. I see them on television somewhere and I say, that's my buddy. I'm happy for them. And be thankful for the young men and women that I have in my life, my children, my wife. I can wake up in the quiet of the morning and count blessings, and I'm up to over 30 and I haven't moved and I'm not out of the bed. I have my wife, my children. I'm safe and secure. It's quiet in the house. No one's on oxygen. No one's when they wake up, they'll wake up on their own. I have a lot to be thankful for, and I'm happy when other people are blessed as well.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, I totally echo that, because I guess the word I was looking for is gratitude, right?
Attitude.
And we're retired now, so we have the opportunity, once the boys leave to go to their programs, that we have a chance to sit in our robes with our coffee and talk and pray. And it really, for me, it comes from 1995. That story I told you, that we were there at the hospital at the same time having our children, and we had no idea what God was planning. And I always can go back to that and go, okay, God, you know what you're doing, So to answer your question, it is hard when I see our boys, was the word digress? We think they've succeeded in a goal, but, sometime later they like, where did that happen? And it can be hurtful. It can be disappointing, discouraging. We're like, I thought we succeeded at that skill. So those things are hard, and I know it's a part of life, but I also know that we all have different lives. My thing is, again, I'm a visual person. I'm like, God packaged this life for us. So people on the outside can go, whoa, what you guys do, we hear this a lot. What you guys do, whoa, we can never do. That's okay, because God didn't give it to you. He gave it to us. So He must know that we can handle it. And let me tell you, Russ, we stumble, we fall, we scrape our knees, we cry. He goes to a corner, I go to a corner. We good? Okay, let's get back in the game.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to do.
Hey,
Who else is going to do it?
Sounds like you've got a camera in my house. What are you doing? Stay out of my house.
You got
Watching me.
about 30 minutes to have a meltdown, and we got to,
And we got to get back in the game.
And we got a 2:00. All right, so let's do it.
Let's do this. And I think
Hey,
that's how we work. That's how we work.
awesome.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I think and here's the thing. Every parent, everything you're talking about, every parent can do, and it has nothing to do with what your kid is like. Whether your kid has a mental health challenge, your kid has a disability of some type, your kid is typical, but maybe not performing at the level you want. Maybe they're getting older and you're like, what's this 30-year-old still leaving my house? Wherever they are, I think everything you said now in that little, not soundbite, but that little package you put together right there can help everybody. And it certainly helped me, because gratitude is the 50th thing I think about. I'm usually like, okay, what's my goal? How am I going to get there? What's my strategy? And I just learned from you guys, you might want to try putting that gratitude up front. And hearing you're retired, which I did not know, I just signed you up to be a more significant part of the eLife building program that we're going to be doing and the development of the care community. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for mentioning that, because we are interested in that. That's positive. We wanted to learn more. We want to learn more. We see a need for that with our own children. We have some ideas. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, so let me read a scripture that sort of, it's in Psalm 37. We'll continue, and it just sort of sums up what you just said about how to live life. In the easy reading version, verse 4, enjoy serving the Lord, and he will give you whatever you ask for. Depend on the Lord, trust in him, and he will help you. He will make it as clear as day that you are right. Everyone will see that you're being fair. Trust in the Lord and wait quietly for his help. Don't be angry when people make evil plans to succeed. Don't become so angry and upset that you too want to do evil. He's saying, look, trust the Lord. He'll make it clear as day. I hear your story and I go, man, God's making it clear as day through your lives that whatever we're handed, whatever we're given, I like how Julia said it, that's the life that God had in mind for you. Gail and I feel that exact same way. eLife, and this is a good segue and kind of way to close, and I think we might be having you on again, so I hope now that you're warmed up, we'll be able to have more conversations about this. But eLife, in my mind, is a vision of being able to say that after age 8, or from the beginning of life, and significantly so after age 18 and for all of life, we want the entirety of a special needs child or adult's life to be of exceptional quality. Now, I haven't really talked about this much other than to in about 40 people internally who are beginning the building of all this, which I'll add you to, have been just emails me back with that email chain that I think Nathan had you guys on. Just email me back and get my email and everything. But, we always talked about, we want E to stand for exceptional, but to me, it's exceptional quality. That's a quality of life that allows anyone with special needs, disability, and especially those who are poor and disadvantaged, to be able to say, my kid will be able to have a great life, not only while I'm alive, but if I'm gone, they'll have a great life. And so within that, we have multiple things, but the fundamentals of it is developing a care community and a care force. Let me say something about the care force. The care force is training, and I've already been recruiting guys for this, training college students and professionals to be able to work with, not through the education system, but through our inclusion programs, to be able to work with, be friends with, for life, special needs children and adults. And then that care force, I'm hoping, will grow to be 30 or 40 people that parents can then say, hey, can I hire Joey to be able to come over the house and tutor or play with or babysit? And it's someone familiar with sensory challenges. It's someone familiar with ADHD. They're not a professional, because there's plenty of them, but it's a friend and an attachment and a connection to a bigger community. Then the care community is getting land. At this point, the thought process, put tiny homes where special needs adults can live with either retired seniors or college students who need housing. And then you build a community. And that community might be, we're thinking we start small with a pilot, maybe 3 tiny homes. We actually have some people that are early on are stepping up and saying, maybe I want to help experiment. And I know someone's sitting out there, that's going to cost a tremendous amount of money. But what you have to understand is that in America today, 1 in 31 children have autism. There's not going to be a problem finding money to solve this problem. There's going to be a problem in America solving the problem of 1 in 31 kids having autism.
Right.
And I don't think the country is ready for that. And so we'll be talking more about that. But part of what couples like you can do is 2 things. One, you can bring your talents to bear, and you just, I've been paying attention. I want to bring it up, Julie, that you've written books, and I've seen on LinkedIn and taken a look there and checked it out. But I think the ability, and I want you to just talk a little bit about that when I finish. I think your ability to visualize or help people visualize and communicate is something that's going to be essential to helping people understand the e-life. Because part of what it is there are many people who want to help, and I've been on a lot of podcasts about this, but they don't know how do I talk to parents who have special needs kids? How do I inject myself into their life when I don't know how? I don't want to offend somebody or whatever. And so there's a lot of communication can be done that way. And another thing is just the building process, how to think and organize. And that's something that, Ben, I think you'd be really great at, being able to get in there and go, okay, because I've got a number of engineers working on technology that's inclusive technology, but also just looking at how are we going to set this up? And then, of course, we've got fundraising to do, but that's some of the stuff. But I want you to talk, Julia, before we go, about the books, why you wrote, why you write, what your goals are, and where they can find your content and your books.
Okay, thanks. Well, the first book I wrote is called My Name is Tommy, My Story of Hydrocephalus. And to be honest, it wasn't a book in my mind at the time. It was just a story that I wrote for Tommy so that he could help to understand who he is. When he had those difficult days at school, when he went to camp, just a reminder, this is how you think, this is how you process. It wasn't until many years later, I thought, whoa, I might have a book here. So that got started, book was born.
Awesome.
My second book came from a friend's idea, like, hey, how about writing about a sibling your daughter, Malia, who has a brother with special needs and what that life is like. So that ended up being my second book. My Name is Malia, My Story Growing Up with a Brother with Special Needs. So she helped me a little bit on that one. So
that's awesome.
My goal there was just to teach and say, hey, this is what this world looks like. This is what hydrocephalus is. A lot of people don't know what that is. So that was my educational tool for Tommy as well as for, the community. And then I do have a third book coming up, which hopefully will be out next year. And that's about Alex, my stepson, and autism. And of course, it will be called My Name is Alex, My Story of Autism. So these books, again, come from our life, how we've seen our children grow up and live and what their experience is with special needs. So
that's fantastic.
They're all on Amazon, and I have a social media, platform and all that.
We'll put the links for your books in the show notes, so those who are listening, you can get those books. Now, the question you may be asking is, well, why would I want to get Julia Murray's book? My kid doesn't have any of those conditions or challenges. Because the first step to inclusion, which we will talk about when I have them on again more, is having every single child and adult included in society where they're not an exception, but they're just exceptional, and everybody wants to include them. Part of it is educating your kid. So I'll just tell this story. When we adopted our youngest, and so my kids are we have a mixed family racially, so my kids are not all black, but my mother goes, anyone who's in your family is black. So that's how my mom runs it. She's like, she goes, if you got a drop of African-American blood, you're an African-American, you're a black person. And if you're in the family. So when my daughter was very little, very small, my mom started sending all the books about African American history, children's books, right? And I hadn't made my mind up about the presidential election at the time. I hadn't really thought much about it. And she starts sending books about Obama. And she said, you need to read these to your daughter. I don't know if she was 4 or 5, I can't remember the age. You need to read these to your daughter at night, right? And then my daughter starts saying, well, you got to vote for Obama because I read about him in the book. And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm supposed to pay attention to everybody, not just vote for the guy because he's African American. No, you got it. And then she used to watch the NBA and go, are all those all your friends? I go, ooh, the guys playing basketball because they're all black. That's what she, my mom. And what I'm trying to say is that my daughter is not an African American. And so she was educated about African Americans. And so her perspective about African Americans was very inclusive of who they are. Obviously, I'm her dad, so that would be true, but she was being educated by my mom in that way. The reason you get Julia's book is to sit down with your child when they're 4, 5, 6 years old, and along with all the other characters you're introducing, introduce them to kids. What's the theme of our podcast today? Who are built different. Introduce them to them. Yeah. Not that they're different bad, but they're built different and their lives are built different and what they can learn. And I appreciate, you know, Nathan, Julia just volunteered to write an article for Spirituality. So I'm just excited about that.
Oh, wow.
Because I just try to facilitate and empower. That's what I do. I try to facilitate and empower. But I think we can have a great article from Julia and she can pick one that would really be able to help people understand how do you teach your kid? You can do whatever you want, but how do you educate your kid about special needs and start early? And then you can write the article and you can put links to your book in it and we'll publish it. And you can make it a little devotional or however you want to do it. Because I just think when you have a gift like that in the life you have, you need to tell people about what God has done in your life. And I want to thank you too for joining me and having this conversation. I feel like I finally had the appointment and conversation with you guys I've wanted to have for a long time. The only thing we're missing is Gail now, but we'll do that because you're part of eLife program plan now. Okay. So we're all going to be getting together. There's a place we're going to have to visit in Santa Cruz to look at property. And so you'll probably be on that list to come on down there. And Ben, you're going to probably get more work than you want now. Now that I know. So,
Thank you, Russ.
And take a deep breath.
No, we just really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So all you are listening, that's been Ben and Julia Murray. They are, as you have already heard, built different. And they're built different in a way that will inspire you and encourage you. And you can listen again and again and again. And I'm sure there'll be clips online to listen to inspire you about whatever you're going through in life. You may be a teenager. You may be a college student. You may be retired. And whatever part of life you're in, you may be dating. Boy, this is a good one for people that are dating or just beginning their relationship. Anything you're doing, you can learn how you're built different and you'll be able to let God give you the delight of your heart as you rely on him. And for those who don't believe in God, you know what? Give it a try. Take a look. Go ahead and read some of those scriptures. And it just may be that you find out that not only are you built different, but there's a path and a plan God has for your destiny too. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Please rate us highly so we can get the podcast out to more and more people. Don't forget to go to deepspirituality.com. You can get all kinds of content there. And in the next month or two, you'll be able to read Julia's article on there too. And don't forget to subscribe to Chemistry Lab. You guys know all about that. That's the newsletter that I put out every Friday. And again, thank you to Ben and Julia Murray. It's been awesome.